Welcome to the deep dive. This week, we have traded the usual dense reports on global finance for something I would argue maybe even more
A
complex.
modern reality universe.
Exactly. We have a formidable stack of recent dispatches in front of us, breaking down everything that happened when the cameras were supposed to be off or, what's about to explode when they turn back on.
That's right. Our mission today is not just to summarize the news, but really to give you the definitive shortcut to understanding the currents driving these huge reality franchises.
Yeah.
We're distilling, what, 8 major updates that really reveal the high-stakes financial pressures, the deep personal and legal costs, and just the relentless professional maneuvering that defines life for these
We're
stars.
really trying to move beyond just the quick headlines. We want to analyze the business of casting. I mean, who gets a diamond and who gets demoted, the unbearable intensity of private crises, and the calculated strategies these personalities use when they're negotiating their public image against their need for, a paycheck.
Specifically, we're diving into the reported structural overhaul coming to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Big one.
Huge. And the tense, I would say, contract-driven reconciliation concerning the Real Housewives of New Jersey, the explosive details from the Summer House Season 10 trailer, and some really harrowing, serious updates involving major legal and health battles faced by Housewives alums.
Okay, let's unpack this and jump right into section one, the roster roller coaster and reconciliation strategies.
Let's do it.
We are starting with a pretty comprehensive insider report that details the potential cast lineup for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 7. And while, nothing is officially confirmed by Bravo yet, we know how tightly they hold those cards.
Well, yeah, until the last possible minute.
Exactly. But the source gives us a really fascinating glimpse into the strategic choices that production seems to be making for the future of the show.
And the biggest strategic takeaway here isn't just who is coming back, it's how the show is apparently being structured. The source suggests RHOSLC is planning to adopt the Real Housewives of Miami model, which, centers the show around a core group of full-time women, but then strategically uses several heavily featured friends to drive those secondary storylines.
This shift is, I think, it's crucial, and it's a smart business move for Bravo. The RHOM model, they sometimes call it the friend of flex, right? It allows producers way more control, and it minimizes financial risk.
Absolutely. You can pay fewer women that huge full housewife salary while still having immediate replacements or test subjects available if someone isn't delivering the drama.
And this is critical, if they're involved in some personal legal trouble, that means you need a rapid exit. It basically future-proofs the franchise.
It does, and the report explicitly names 6 women who are expected to definitely be full-time for Season 7.
Okay, so who's in that core group?
That confirmed core lineup reportedly includes Bronwyn Newport, Lisa Barlow, Heather Gay, Angie Katzenevas, Mary Cosby, and one entirely new cast member.
Whoa, wait. Mary Cosby back as a full-time housewife after leaving mid-season in the past.
Yeah, no.
That speaks volumes, right? It says the network really values her unique, almost surreal, dramatic contributions. She brings an unpredictability that producers clearly feel the show needs to counter, the stability of women like Lisa and Heather.
But the real drama, the real meat of this report, is in the existing cast structure, specifically involving 2 of the veteran cast members.
Meredith Marks and Whitney Rose.
Exactly. This is the heart of what they're calling the demotion dilemma. The source strongly suggests that production is setting up a scenario where only one of those 2 women will keep her full-time status for Season 7.
And the other one gets demoted to a friend role.
The other one gets demoted.
That is a high-stakes power play by the network. Meredith and Whitney, they've both been integral parts of the show's dynamic since the very first seasons. By forcing a competitive choice, Bravo essentially guarantees tension. But if they demote one, aren't they just signaling to both women that their roles are totally negotiable? You could lose both of them, or at least their authentic engagement.
It's a calculated risk, for sure. The demotion to friend, it drastically impacts their filming schedule, their relevance to the primary storylines, and most importantly, their paycheck and their leverage for any future seasons. It's a very potent motivator for the women who do remain full-time. And to round out those reduced roles, Brittany Bateman is expected to remain a friend, along with one other newly cast friend who will be featured in that same reduced capacity.
So if you look at the bigger picture, the source noted that production is deliberately bringing in this influx of new talent, both the full-timer and the new friends, because they anticipate, and this is a quote, a couple might be gone after Season 7. This isn't just casting for the short term. It's a deliberate strategy to establish a bench of strong women ready to step up if the current core either burns out, opts out, or, heaven forbid, legal issues pop up again.
Exactly. They're hedging their bets against the notorious volatility of the reality star lifespan. But we have to address the persistent white noise surrounding RHOSLC,
The Jen Shaw question.
the continued Jen Shaw question, especially since her prison release date is rapidly approaching December 10th.
Yeah, and every single time a new cast list drops, the rumors of her sensational return are immediate. But Andy Cohen, the executive producer, was absolutely definitive on his SiriusXM radio show. He delivered what you have to consider the final corporate decision on her involvement.
He said, and I'm quoting here, "I just want to say once again, for anyone who is asking, she's not coming back to RHOSLC.
Pretty clear.
Very. And then he doubled down on that corporate commitment, adding, "I don't know that I could see Bravo working with her again." So there you go. Can we put a period on the end of that sentence?
That is the network putting its foot down. It signals a major shift in Bravo's internal risk assessment, post-Scandival and post-Jen Shaw's conviction.
I think so too.
While Jen Shaw would, without a doubt, bring massive ratings and intense drama, the network has made a calculated decision that the reputational damage and the bad press associated with featuring a convicted felon, especially one involved in elder fraud, it just outweighs the financial gain.
It sets a new corporate standard for what is simply too far for the franchise to endorse, even for drama.
Absolutely. Okay, so pivoting from Salt Lake City's structural shifts to New Jersey's relationship maneuvering.
The Christmas miracle.
The alleged Christmas miracle. It involves the years-long, franchise-paralyzing feud between the Gorga and Giudice families. Melissa Gorga has confirmed that she and Joe Gorga will spend Christmas at their house with Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruelas.
This reconciliation, it felt so sudden, it immediately raised the question, is this real peace or are the cameras coming? And Melissa's public response, it tried to establish a boundary, but you can feel the underlying professional pressure.
Totally. So when she was asked if Bravo cameras would be filming, her response was a very definitive negative. She said, "No. Bravo, where are you at?"
Right.
And then she added, "But you know, it's kind of nice to do it without the cameras, I have to be honest. Because we need this time, this healing moment."
Yeah.
She framed it as a necessity for, genuine familial repair.
But the conflict between the families was so toxic, it led to the indefinite pause of the entire show.
The whole show.
And this is where the deeper analysis has to begin. We have a source speaking to Radar Online who just completely throws skepticism on that healing moment narrative, claiming the entire reconciliation, quote, feels like a publicity stunt.
And the motive claim laid out by this source it's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
They argue that Teresa, recognizing the show's professional and financial jeopardy, likely engineered the reconciliation specifically to force the show back into production.
Right. The feud was so detrimental that they just couldn't film together. That led to the hiatus. So if the core conflict is suddenly resolved,
Then the reason for the hiatus vanishes.
it's gone. And the source also backs up this skepticism with a pretty significant contract implication. They allege that the entire cast was actually released from their contracts because, and I quote, "too much time has passed and the network's contractual hold has expired."
Okay, if that claim is accurate, the stakes move from high to existential for the cast.
Completely.
The network loses huge legal leverage when those contracts expire. They can't just dictate when and where the stars film. But on the other side, the cast members lose their guaranteed income stream and the reality TV platform. The pressure to show that the show is viable again, that they can film, even civilly, it becomes an overwhelming professional survival mechanism.
And that pressure fuels the observation about their social media strategy. The source detailed how the families intentionally documented their reunion on Instagram. They specifically pointed out Teresa's initial post, which included Louis and Joe, but then she only added Melissa after a moment, quickly showing they were all there together as one big happy family.
So it was a very curated, very specific documentation.
Exactly. It suggests a coordinated effort aimed directly at the network's executives and the public. They want people to see, as the source put it, they want people to see what's happening, and they want this to hopefully lead to the return of the show. The goal isn't just family peace, it's demonstrating film ability.
What's so fascinating here is the immediate corruption of Melissa's stated need for a healing moment off camera. She claimed they needed privacy, yet immediately performed the result of that privacy publicly for professional gain.
It just underscores the impossibility of separating the personal from the profitable and high-level reality television.
Yeah, the financial incentive, I mean, the loss of a major salary in your defining identity is so powerful that it likely just overshadows any genuine desire for quiet, camera-free family peace.
So the question for you, the listener, becomes unavoidable. When peace is the key that unlocks professional stability, is that peace truly authentic? Or is it a calculated product designed to restart the career engine?
Yeah, the Christmas miracle may have served a contractual purpose, first and foremost.
Okay, let's move into section 2.
Shifting now from the calculated maneuvers of the housewives to the explosive chaos of the Hamptons, we're going to dive deep into the newly released, highly dramatic trailer for Summer House Season 10.
And this season appears to be the most visceral depiction yet of what happens when a long-term, reality-famous marriage just collapses under the weight of the cameras and the lifestyle.
The tone is set immediately by Kyle Cook's opening voiceover, which really functions as a premonition for the whole season. He says, "Friendships go back 10-plus years, but in the blink of an eye, everything can change."
This isn't just about summer flings. It's about the potential dissolution of the show's central couple, Kyle and Amanda Batula.
So the root conflict is chronic, but it seems to have reached a devastating new intensity. Amanda explains their central issue, which perfectly encapsulates the reality TV paradox. She wanted Kyle to stop the excessive partying that defined their early relationship.
But now his new career success, his DJ gigs, requires him to go out late and party.
Right. The very thing she needs him to stop is now essential to his income and professional identity. It's an impossible situation.
And the pressure is breaking Kyle, too. In a conversation with Carl Radke, you hear him lamenting, "I'm playing the biggest gig of my life, and Amanda couldn't care less. I don't know what matters to her anymore." He feels a total lack of emotional support for his professional highs. He just sees her frustration as a rejection of his ambition.
And the situation escalates to a breaking point that suggests deep marital betrayal, or at least severe neglect. Amanda, and she's visibly distressed, she relays this devastating accusation to Ciara Miller.
This was the big moment in the trailer.
It was. She says Kyle fell asleep at some fan's apartment and came home at like 6:30 in the morning.
The implication of infidelity, or at the very minimum, a staggering level of disrespect and a lack of commitment to his wife, is just immediate.
And Ciara Miller's reaction, she's speaking for the audience here, she captures the gravity perfectly. She just says, "That's fucking insane." That specific detail, coming home at 6:30 a.m. after falling asleep at a fan's place, is so specific and so damaging to Kyle's reputation.
The trailer shows the conflict escalating from that sort of quiet resentment to just raw confrontation. Kyle, pushing back against Amanda's emotional distance, he verbally challenges the core foundation of their marriage.
Yeah, he says, "You know what I think you should have an issue with? Compatibility, chemistry, intimacy, what about that shot?" He is essentially asking if the marriage is already functionally over.
And of course, the friends attempt an intervention, which is always a hallmark of a crisis in the summer house.
It's a requirement.
You see Ciara recognizing the need for a hard line, advising Amanda, "If you treat me this way, I am leaving." Meanwhile, Lindsay Hubbard, having been through her own intense relationship drama, she observes that Kyle and Amanda are clearly not making decisions together. They're just existing as separate entities under the same roof.
And the volatility culminates in a visible, angry, physical altercation. The trailer captures Kyle yelling, "I'm fucking losing my mind," before he turns his fury toward Carl Radke, yelling, "Fuck you," as he follows Carl outside.
And the clip that follows strongly implies a physical fight between the two men. This level of violence is a major escalation for Summer House. We've moved past verbal sparring into something much darker and more serious.
It really reinforces Amanda's later worried comment to the cast that he's not okay. The trailer just frames the dissolution of their marriage as the structural center of the season, a devastating contrast to their wedding storyline just 2 seasons ago.
The house, which is usually a place for fun, is now a stage for a profound relationship tragedy.
But against the backdrop of this, Cook-Batula implosion, the producers do what producers do. They wisely flood the house with new, unattached energy.
Of course.
Season 10 introduces 6 new cast members to inject fresh potential and complications. Mia Calabrese, KJ Dillard, Dara Levitan, Levi Sabri, Bailey Taylor, and Ben Waddell.
And the integration is swift. Carl Radke, who's navigating life after his high-profile breakup, immediately establishes a new dynamic. He's seen kissing a new girl, Bailey Taylor, in the trailer.
Significant move from Carl. It shows him actively moving on and participating in the typical Hamptons hookup culture again.
But the truly disruptive romantic tension seems to involve a newcomer, Ben Waddell, who, fun fact, previously starred on The Bachelor in Australia, and the already married Amanda Batula.
Oh, wow.
Ben clearly has eyes for Amanda, stating admiringly, "Amanda can walk into a room and brighten it up with her smile."
And the chemistry and friction are immediately obvious. Amanda is shown rubbing Ben's head in a surprisingly intimate gesture, and the tension becomes so undeniable that it erupts at a group dinner.
Leading to that direct confrontation where someone tells Amanda, "Ben wants to definitely sleep with you."
The threat this represents to Kyle, his wife entertaining another man while their marriage is fraying, that's going to be a huge engine for his escalating fury this season.
For sure. And moving over to Ciara Miller, the trailer outlines a really complicated romantic triangle for her. She starts the season clearly flirting with a newcomer, Jesse Solomon, who is enthusiastic, admitting, "I'm loving Ciara's energy."
They're even seen joking about engagement photos, which indicates a high-speed summer romance.
But the producers know where the real emotional capital is. The inevitable, compelling resurfacing of her previous flame, West Wilson.
Of course.
Jesse quickly picks up on this shift and directly asks West if dating Ciara is now in the works, recognizing West as a genuine threat.
And then Lindsay Hubbard, the House veteran and keen observer, she steps in with her analysis, first warning West that he might be catching feelings for Ciara, and then giving Ciara the definitive read, "I think West is in love with you."
Lindsay, through all her chaos, she often serves as a pretty accurate emotional barometer for the house.
She really does. And the emotional climax of this triangle is delivered in a raw, private moment between Ciara and West. Ciara admits through tears, "I do miss you."
And West's reply just confirms the unfinished nature of their connection. It solidifies the emotional weight. He says, yeah, me too. How could I not?
What the Summer House trailer really highlights is this contrast. The failure of the long-term contracted reality relationship, Kyle and Amanda, versus the powerful, persistent draw of the unresolved emotional connection with Ciara and West.
The new season looks like a high-octane study in love, loss, and professional party burnout.
Okay, let's shift gears significantly now. We're moving away from the planned drama of a new season to some profound real-life crises that reality personalities face when their bodies, their families, and their legal standing come under threat.
These are the moments where the line between reality star and ordinary person completely vanishes.
Section 3 dives into the heavy lifting of life outside the edit suite health struggles that last years, family rifts caused by secrecy, and the immense legal implications of high-profile custody battles. We're starting with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alum, Brandi Glanville.
And she revealed the terrifying struggle she has endured over the past 2.5 years. She has been dealing with an undiagnosed health crisis that caused significant facial disfigurement and has been financially draining, costing her well over $100,000.
The fact that she was suffering for 2.5 years without an answer is just staggering. It really underscores the exhaustion and despair that comes with a protracted medical mystery.
And the core information here is the moment of immense relief. As of the December 5th report, she finally received a diagnosis yesterday.
She expressed that she is thrilled to finally have an answer, a diagnosis that validates the physical toll she's experienced, even while admitting that she still faces a long road ahead for recovery. That moment of clarity has to be a massive psychological breakthrough after years of uncertainty.
She detailed the severity of it, noting that there are multiple things happening with her health. One specific frightening symptom she shared illustrated the profound physical debilitation.
What was that?
Sometimes she sits down and can't go up, which goes so far beyond general malaise. It suggests serious neurological or musculoskeletal issues that deeply impact her mobility.
But the most crucial analysis here involves the mental and emotional impact. Brandi, a person who is famous for her outgoing, outspoken, often combative public persona,
Right.
she revealed that this crisis led to a profound internal shift. She became an introvert with the worst anxiety just leaving the house.
And that's a devastating confession for a celebrity whose entire career is built on public visibility. The inability to face the world due to facial disfigurement and anxiety is a direct threat to her livelihood and her identity.
She opened up even more gravely, admitting to having frightening suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
She said, "I've never thought of, not wanting to be here."
And we really need to pause and recognize the gravity of that admission. For a reality star to share the depth of suicidal ideation and depression, combined with the physical shame of disfigurement, is incredibly brave.
It completely shatters the barrier between the polished, aggressive Brandi Glanville we see on screen and the intensely vulnerable person who's struggling privately.
The good news is that she is now on an antidepressant, which she confirmed is helping stabilize her mental health. Her story really emphasizes the hidden cost of public fame when private health fails.
Turning now to Married to Medicine, we're examining a family crisis that's rooted in secrecy, impacting Dr. Heavenly Kimes and her son, Damon Kimes Jr.
The conflict stems from his February 2023 arrest for aggravated assault against a law enforcement officer.
And the central betrayal for Heavenly was her discovery of the event. She revealed she didn't learn about the arrest until years later. She found out not from her husband or son, but on social media, specifically Twitter. She described the feeling of her heart just dropping when she saw the news.
This situation was also complicated by the fact that Heavenly is currently running for Congress, adding a significant political dimension to the revelation. She pressed her husband, Dr. Damon Kimes, on the issue, asking him, "If I had to learn about my son being arrested on social media, what else is out there?"
Yeah, the political vulnerability created by the secrecy just magnified the personal hurt.
Dr. Damon Kimes, though, he offered a justification that's rooted in paternal protection. In a confessional, he explained that he wanted to ensure their son and the family unit were stable, and he believed he could take care of the situation himself without involving Heavenly, maybe to shield her from stress or public knowledge.
But Heavenly, in the sources, she fires back against this perceived protection, highlighting the consequence. She says, "But you didn't take care of it in the sense that I'm finding out about it years later on social media." The secrecy failed to protect her and instead created a whole new source of conflict.
The tragic outcome of this emotional exchange and betrayal is a severe family rift. Heavenly admitted she reacted with overwhelming anger, saying, "I probably got too angry with my son. I don't remember what I said. It was probably a lot of cussing. A lot of profanity was there."
And that verbal intensity, it was a symptom of her stress and betrayal. Consequently, Damon Jr. left the house, and Heavenly admitted that she has physically not seen him in months and doesn't know his current location.
This story is a painful demonstration of what happens when the intent for privacy, Dr. Damon's attempt to manage a sensitive legal crisis, quietly collides disastrously with the obligation for communication and trust within a marriage and a family. The secrecy that was intended to protect ended up shattering the family unit.
Heavenly also addressed the professional fallout on the show, specifically criticizing Toya Bush Harris for bringing up the arrest, a move Heavenly felt was disrespectful. And in her retort, she fired back at Toya, calling her stagnant and criticizing her for saying negative things about her own husband.
So even while Heavenly is grappling with this profound loss of her son's presence, the instinct to deflect and engage in reality star combat is still active.
Of course. Okay, our third crisis involves Real Housewives of Orange County alum Megan King and her ex-husband Jim Edmonds. This concerns the bitter, protracted custody battle over their 3 children, Aspen, Hayes, and Hart.
And the core information here is the resolution, finally bringing this immense legal stress to a close. Jim's representative confirmed that the custody hearing was called off because both sides successfully reached an agreement in the best interests of the children.
And while the exact terms are private, the relief of achieving this resolution must be just immense.
However, the context of this battle is crucial to understanding the stakes. The custody fight had escalated to a terrifying degree after a Child Protective Services, or CPS, investigation was launched against Megan.
And this followed extremely serious accusations leveled against her.
The accusations claimed that she gave their 7-year-old twin, Hayes, unprescribed Ritalin and even encouraged a school nurse to administer the medication. A CPS investigation in a high-profile custody case carries enormous legal weight. It requires specific thresholds of evidence of child endangerment to even begin, and the public scrutiny just adds immense reputational damage.
Before the final agreement, sources had speculated on the interim status, reporting that Megan had been granted supervised visitation, while Jim had been awarded sole physical custody. While the current terms are now finalized, the previous reports just illustrate how dire Megan's position was leading up to this agreement.
And we also have to connect this legal tension back to the bitter disputes involving Jim's current wife, Courtney O'Connor. We recall the previous dramatic incident where Megan was allegedly found inside Jim and Courtney's home after refusing to leave during a drop-off.
A level of behavior that really speaks to the intense emotional volatility of the situation.
That previous incident resulted in Courtney filing for and being granted a restraining order against Megan, and that order specifically barred Megan from discussing Courtney on social media. The public nature of all these legal filings, CPS investigations, restraining orders, custody hearings. It just highlights the intense and often brutal process these stars endure long after they've left the official Housewives franchise.
All right, our final section examines the unavoidable reckoning that occurs when reality stars clash with public opinion, forcing them to either defend their actions, retreat, or simply double down on controversy. We're looking at ethical tourism choices and the explosive performance pressure of a fan convention.
We begin with former Real Housewives of Orange County star Kelly Dodd and her husband, Rick Leventhal, who faced intense public backlash after posting a video of themselves riding an elephant while vacationing in Thailand.
Kelly's defense was immediate and highly characteristic of her. She claimed she rode Nina like a champ, asserting that the location was a sanctuary free from poachers and that their participation was happy to help the local economy.
She tried to normalize the behavior using that classic tourist justification. When in Rome, you do tourist things.
But the backlash was swift, because the public perception regarding elephant tourism has evolved so significantly. Critics immediately argued that genuine elephant sanctuaries do not permit riding.
Right. They claim that the practice is often linked to allegations of animal abuse and years of torture, specifically the use of the crushing process required to break an elephant's spirit so it can be ridden. Critics label the action a gross look, given current ethical standards.
The public scrutiny was significant enough that Kelly issued a second video response. But instead of apologizing or retracting the action, she went aggressively on the offensive, slamming her critics as hypocrites.
She leaned into that classic defense mechanism. When you point a finger, you have three pointing back at you.
She challenged the moral authority of her critics directly, asking pointed questions like, do you eat meat? Do you wear leather? Do you wear leather on your shoes? What's the difference between riding a horse?
Her argument was one of moral equivalence, that her critics are engaging in ethical compromises daily and therefore cannot judge her tourism choice.
But does attacking the critics' hypocrisy actually work? Or does it just signal that the star knows they made a misstep in ethical research but refuses to admit fault? For Kelly, the goal is never admission. It's always victory in the argument.
Ultimately, there was a minor pragmatic retreat. Rick confirmed they would not ride an elephant again, admitting that the experience itself was uncomfortable.
But he maintained their initial justification. He stressed that they still contributed to the local economy. This maintains the core motive, that they were helping financially, while acknowledging the physical discomfort of the experience.
It perfectly showcases the reality star instinct. When facing criticism, never just admit you were wrong. Instead, attack the messenger and defend the motive, even if the action itself was ill-advised.
Okay, our final analysis involves that volatile run-in that occurred at BravoCon 2025. It was captured on leaked audio and video and featured Tom Sandoval, his girlfriend Victoria Lee Robinson, and Lindsay Hubbard. The clip went completely viral, but according to sources, the widespread interpretation of the event was entirely wrong.
Yeah, the initial viral interpretation suggested that Lindsay Hubbard was the primary target or, victim of the confrontation, especially given the heated yelling caught on audio, including Lindsay saying, "Shut the fuck up," and Victoria shouting, "Get the fuck out."
But the true story came to light through Kristen Dowd and Brittany Cartwright on their podcast, and they offered a real insider perspective. They clarified that the root of the drama wasn't Lindsay at all. It was Tom Sandoval and Victoria fighting all the time throughout the BravoCon events.
From Kyle Coast's DJ set to the after-parties, Tom is creating chaos with his own relationship.
Lindsay's role, therefore, was not as the victim, but as the unexpected diffuser, or, as Kristen recalled, the scolder. Lindsay was actively trying to intervene in Tom and Victoria's internal fight, telling him, bro, enough, you're just making a fool of yourself and stop it.
She was trying to pull Tom out of the public spectacle he was creating.
And this is where the analysis gets deep into the psychology of a new life stage. Kristen Dowd specifically offered a maternal perspective on Lindsay's motivation. She explained that Lindsay, as a new mother, felt very maternal in that high-pressure moment.
She felt like she had to school him as a mother. What are you doing?
This is a significant thematic shift. Lindsay, who previously reveled in chaos, was trying to impose order and maturity onto Tom. This emotional context, new motherhood, changing her perspective on public foolishness, it provides accessible insight into why she intervened so forcefully.
Victoria's reaction to this unwanted intervention was direct and dismissive. She walked up to Lindsay and asserted, "I don't know you."
And Lindsay's self-awareness, thankfully, shone through. She confirmed to Victoria that she was completely out of my element in even having this conversation, but the point had been made. Tom was being schooled for his public behavior.
The entire incident highlights the unavoidable performance pressure cooker that is BravoCon. These stars are not just celebrities. They are commodities who are constantly being recorded by hundreds of fans and industry onlookers. Their most private, heated arguments immediately become public commodities, often misinterpreted through a quick, context-free viral clip.
Lindsay's intervention, though motivated by care, immediately became another piece of the drama she was trying to prevent.
And that brings us to the end of this rapid yet thorough assimilation of the latest reality universe updates.
We've covered a massive territory today, from the executive decisions defining the future of Salt Lake City's roster to the devastating internal conflicts in New Jersey, and the high-stakes personal battles involving health and legal custody.
These sources collectively illustrate a constant and strenuous negotiation. Reality stars are continually attempting to control the narratives of their lives, trying to secure a diagnosis, resolving custody, or carving out a space for personal healing. Yet they are inevitably trapped by the insatiable scrutiny of the public eye and the network's professional needs for continued engagement and profitability.
The business requires the rawest, most personal aspects of life to be monetized.
Yeah.
And that cyclical tension leads us directly to our final provocative thought for you to consider.
We saw the Gorgajudici family, after a years-long feud that literally put their show on hiatus, prioritize a healing moment off-camera for Christmas, citing the need for privacy.
Yet, the moment that piece was established, they immediately posted highly curated, strategic documentation of that reconciliation on social media, fueled by the professional need to prove to Bravo that their show is viable again.
So, when public profile and personal peace are both high-value currencies in the reality world, is it truly possible for a reality star to achieve genuine camera-free reconciliation? Or does the essential professional requirement for publicity engagement inevitably corrupt the process of healing and forgiveness?
What stands out to you about that inherent tension between a need for privacy and the demand for profit in the reality universe?